Hi all, my name is Phanindra. I am an associate professor in the Department of ECE at NRI Institute of Technology. So today for the next 15 minutes I am going to give a talk about databases hidden inside your smartphone. So every app that you use is backed by a database. So the idea here is, or the overview of this session is, we start by understanding what data, database and DBMS is. Followed by that, we go on to the smartphone usage data key statistics. And before we conclude, we also look into the scenes behind a mobile app. And then followed by that, we do the conclusion. So let us first start with understanding data, database and DBMS. And before I go into it, I would like to start this with a simple questions. So have you ever wondered, how are you able to read your WhatsApp messages from the previous month? Do you have any idea? Now coming to the next question. So you all play Candy Crush Saga. You all are fond of playing games. So how Candy Crush Saga lets you resume the game from the exact level where you stopped the day before? So the solution to these questions is, this is possible because applications store user interaction data in database and save the application state, enabling seamless restoration of the last session when the app is reopened. So in the next 10 minutes, our focus is on applications store user interaction data in databases. So applications are the mobile applications, and then followed by that user interaction data. So each time a user tries to interact with a mobile app, there are different kinds of data that is being generated. So we see what are the different kinds of data that get generated and what are the different databases that we use to store such user interaction data. So now let us move on to the basics, what a data is. Data is a collection of facts, numbers, words, observations or other useful information. And you can see here as an example. So facts are like user logged in at 9:30 a.m. and level 25 completed, or the numbers can be game score, some number of messages 120, time spent 45 minutes, and words can be like search keyword restaurants nearby. So now moving on to database. A database is an organized collection of structured information or data typically stored electronically in a computer system. So you can treat it as, so here is a list of 2 students and their corresponding name, branch and their CGPA. So if you just put this in an Excel table or an Excel sheet, that itself can be called as a database. Or here is a document kind of database where you have data that is in the form of a JSON. So JavaScript object notation format. So here you have key and values. So this is a semi-structured data, and that such sort of data gets stored in a document database, or we use document database to store such sort of information. Now coming to Visa, what is data? Visa, what is database? Now let us move on to what is DBMS, database management system. So database management system is a collection of interrelated data and a set of programs to access those data. So the advantage is it provides a way to store and retrieve database information in a convenient and efficient manner. So the examples of such databases are, so MySQL and Oracle are mainly used for relational databases, and we use MongoDB to store documents, document database. Now let us understand, or let us see some key statistics of smartphone usage data. So there was a survey as per Economics Times report in 2021 in Q3. It is estimated that smartphone users in India spent nearly 5 hours on a day on an average using mobile apps, various mobile apps. And as per Statistia, it is they provide a lot of statistical information based on surveys. So here as per Statistia, below are the major categories of mobile apps used daily. So first one is for social media, example Instagram, then streaming services, for example YouTube, and then we have instant messaging, example WhatsApp, and then followed by mobile gaming, example, so here we have Candy Crush Saga, and mobile payments, example PhonePe, and then location information, example Google Maps. So the idea here is, this is the survey and these are the majorly used apps in different categories. So let us look at these 2 apps and what are the behind the scenes, what is exactly happening when a user tries to interact. Just some examples in these 2 cases. So behind the scenes of a mobile app, So mobile app architecture is mainly highly divided into 3 layers. The first one is the presentation layer, the second is the business layer, and the third is the data layer. So the presentation layer is the user interface. You see, whenever you try to open an app, it is the user interface when opening an app, and it captures the user interactions. And in the business layer, it handles tasks like computations, validations, analytics, etc. And in the data layer, it handles connections to databases and storage systems, allowing the app to save and retrieve data. So now let us try to understand user interactions for those apps that we have identified, WhatsApp and then Instagram. So consider a scenario where we have a user trying to access WhatsApp, and in the presentation layer, the interaction that the user is trying to perform is downloading a video. So when a user tries to click download video, there is a corresponding business layer logic that happens, the process, and in the data layer, the data gets stored as a file database for the interaction downloading a video. Now coming to the next case, if the user tries to send or receive some chat message, and in the business layer, there is some process that happens in the background, and such sort of data, sending and receiving a WhatsApp messages, such sort of data is stored in the form of a sequential database. Now the third category is, let us take the case the user is trying to interact with a Candy Crush Saga game app. So here there is something like a player session info. And the user tries to, each time when the user is playing, he regularly sees his updated score, in which level he is, and other user related information. Such sort of information gets stored in the form of a document database. So in conclusion, databases power mobile apps by preserving data, supporting offline use and restoring app state. And different types of data require different databases to ensure efficient storage, retrieval and performance. So here is a summary. Depending on the type of data, for example, for unstructured data, it can be like images, videos, audio files. We use file storage. For structured data, we use student attendance in a class, for example. We use a relational database. And semi-structured data, for example, like a JSON in a JSON format. So that can be like, example can be login sessions or player activity. We use document database. So here are the references that I used to create these slides. Thank you.